It's the 2020-2021 College Football Playoff National Championship game presented by AT&T. Monday, January 11th at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. Whew, that was a mouthful. Let's have a Michigan fan breakdown on this one, shall we? Hello and welcome to Intermittent Sports, where we cover the Detroit Lions, Detroit Tigers, Detroit Pistons, and Michigan Wolverines. So if you're a fan of 1, 2, 3, or all 4 of those teams, or an opposing team that we play, or any fan of sports in general, heck, anybody's invited. Go ahead and subscribe right here. Hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of the action. Today we're previewing the big one in college football. It makes sense because this is a Michigan channel. I don't know if you know this, but our biggest foe is the Ohio State Buckeyes. Speaking of those Buckeyes, they come into this one against the Alabama Crimson Tide as 7.5-point underdogs. Now, if you're new here and you've never seen one of my preview videos, let me explain how I do it. Basically, what I do is I dress up as each team's fan base. I give their perspective, so I act like a cocky fan from each side, and I go back and forth, and then I let you, the viewer, decide who was right, who had better points, who's gonna win the game, and if you want to, if you feel so inclined, I ask that you comment down below your score prediction and who's gonna win. So when I'm in this shirt, I'm an Ohio State fan. And when I'm in this outfit, I'm an Alabama Crimson Tide fan. Let's get after it. A 7.5-point spread seems awfully laughable, doesn't it? What? Did Vegas not watch us absolutely dismantle Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Dabo Swinney, and the aura of the Clemson Tigers? It's not every day you get to see those taters run for just 2 yards per carry and 44 total yards, but here we are, claimers of the ones who put that hurting on them. Now on paper, it looks like Trevor Lawrence had a pretty good day. He went 33 for 48 for 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. But the late stats when your team was down big and the 3 fumbles, one of which was lost, do make things appear a little bit brighter than what they actually are. The truth is that he was flustered. The truth is that our defensive line absolutely obliterated their offensive line. The truth is that Trevor isn't quite as invisible as people might think, at least not when he's playing against my Bucks. And now we get Mac Jones, who ain't Trevor. You're gosh darn right he ain't Trevor. He ain't all hype, no action. I'm mostly kidding there. What he is 25 for 30 for 297 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, a 97.1 QBR versus Notre Dame Mac Jones. And we like him just fine out there in Tuscaloosa. On top of all that, you ain't gonna hold us to just 2 yards per carry. I can promise you that. Najee Harris hurdled his way to 125 yards on 15 carries, pun intended, against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and he makes life so much easier than Travis Etienne and the Clemson Tigers O-line made it for Trevor. On defense, we weren't so polite to the opposing team's quarterback. Ian Book looked easy to read. Again, pun intended. Throwing for just 229 yards, only 5.9 yards per completion, no touchdowns, 1 interception, a 72.5 QBR. And against the ground game, we only gave up 3.7 yards per carry. Not exactly our best effort, but also not too shabby. And my boy DeVonta Smith reached pylon 3 times off of 7 receptions and had 130 yards. As always, this receiving group is stacked across the board, and that's even with the unfortunate loss of Waddle, who I am hearing is practicing. Now don't get me wrong, I know this is Bama, and I know you're Ohio State. I know it's probably going to be a good game. In fact, I mostly agree with you that 7.5 points is a little bit generous for us. I don't know if we're going to cover that, but I do think we're going to take this. But the last time you got us, in my opinion, is because you had a lot better coach. To anybody but Buckeye fans, the difference between Urban and Ryan is night and day. Whew, also pun intended. Man, I'm good at this. You cannot be serious, man. I mean, listen, no disrespect to Urban, he was and still is the man. And I do think he's a better coach than Ryan Day, at least at this point. But the differences between the two are not near as large as you're trying to imply. He got us into the playoffs last year, didn't he? And if it weren't for poor officiating, we'd be playing in our 2nd national championship game in as many years with him. Out of curiosity, what were you guys doing during the playoffs last season? Oh, that's right. You were playing the Michigan Wolverines. Yikes. That's how you know you had a rough season, when you're playing the Michigan Wolverines in the postseason. Sorry, I had to slip that one in there. It just feels weird as a Michigan fan to do that. I gotta. It's for the video. Now, my boys haven't had a scare all season. Our two close games were because of late runs by Indiana and Northwestern. For the most part, this team has just dominated. Hasn't even had to break a sweat. Meanwhile, before our season even started, I'm just sitting back and watching you be all lackluster against Missouri, 38-19, and then give up 48 points to Ole Miss. Now, they got the over-under in this championship game set to 75 points, and from what I've seen out of your defense, we might be holding back what we were going to do to Michigan, and we may score all those 75 points on our own. We're poised for it. I mean, did you see Justin Fields' performance the other day against Clemson? Sure, I saw it. I also saw him take a huge blow. Let me guess. You think he's going to be the same quarterback a week and a few days later after a hit like that? Nah, man. That shot to the ribs already hurt when it happened, when the adrenaline was going and there was the excitement of the game. You can bet that it got monumentally worse over the next couple of days, and it's going to linger. Now, I never root for a man to be injured, obviously. I want this to be best versus best. Mano-y-mano. But let me tell you something. I can't help but to think that with our bruisers up front, Justin Fields is going to be thinking quite differently about running the football when he has the opportunity. Because you can't always get down, you can't always slide. And if you take another hit like that, you might be down for the count. I commend the man for staying up. I commend him for finishing strong. But I believe he's going to be hobbled and have a lack of options. That, and really he only was as effective as he was in that game because of just how terrible Clemson's defensive line was against y'all's run. I don't quite think that's going to happen against us, my friend. Trey's going to need a sermon or two before he goes against these hosses up front. Man, I am crushing it with the puns. Like, do you hear this? The only thing that does admittedly worry me, particularly when you brought up that Ole Miss game earlier, is your receiving core. It's pretty dang awesome. Some would say phenomenal. Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Julian Fleming, all studs. But, like I said, we're gonna stop the run, so I ain't concerned. Sermon goes for 82 yards on 25 carries. Fields will have a pretty decent day, 23 for 32, 363 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Olave gets his as well, 8 catches, 112 yards, 2 of them for touchdowns. But Bama runs wild. We cover that spread just barely. We win by 11, 45-34. Hey now, if you're giving predictions, I'm giving predictions. Mac Jones goes 22 for 31 for 245 yards, just 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. Najee Harris carries the ball 17 times for 113 yards, just 1 touchdown. DeVonta, the Heisman Trophy winner, hauls in 8 catches for 126 yards. Pretty decent day, and 1 of those go to pay dirt. The lack of production outside of those guys, though, is stymied. Defense wins this one for the Bucs late in the game, 34-31. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Was that excellent or what? And it's only going to get better because here is the best part of the video, in my opinion. Editor, could you give me a TV, please? Sweet. And how about a baseball bat? That'll do. Now, even as an annoying Michigan fan, I've been good to you Ohio State fans simply because you support me, you subscribe to the channel, you like the videos, and you comment, and I really do appreciate it. At the end of the day, while we're foes, we're still friends. We're all human beings. And I even went as far as to rooting for you guys when you played against Clemson last week because I live 11 minutes from Clemson and their fans have been rather mouthy. But I don't know that many Alabama fans, so I'm not so sure I can be as nice this time around. But I wanted to make things interesting and I wanted to make it fun. I wanted to put something at stake. I think that Ohio State is going to win 34-31 just like the Buckeye fan said in this video. I think it's going to be lower scoring than people think. I just have that gut instinct, you know, just a feeling. And if that happens, they don't have to win 34-31, but if the Buckeyes win the national championship, I'm vowing to you to take this here baseball bat to that there TV because I like doing stupid things for stupid views. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm maniacal or anything. It's only a $100 TV, so it's not that big of a deal. It's replaceable, but taking a metal bat and hitting it against a glass screen over and over and over again after my biggest foe hoists a championship trophy, that's irreplaceable. I'll never forget that. We're never actually going to have nice things in Ann Arbor, so this will be like a metaphor of what that actually looks like. So what do you guys think? Does Ohio State strike out on Monday, or do they hit a home run? Let me know in the comments below. We'll see you guys at the plate. Oh, and by the way, myself and my buddy Phil Chinnery will be calling the game here live on Intermittent Sports 30 minutes before kickoff. So whether you're a Buckeye fan, a Wolverine fan, whatever fan, it doesn't matter. We'll be here having a blast. We'd love to see you there. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. God bless and go blue. We are the champions. my friend. Boom, boom, boom. And we'll keep on fighting till the end. We are the champions. We are the champions. No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the world.